From the top of the world's tallest trees.
There's nothing else like this on the planet. And I'm getting an appreciation for that right now.
To freezing alpine ice lakes.
I'm really nervous about my body going into some kind of shock once I get in the water.
From Cambodia's threatened wildlife to the world's largest butterfly migration. Coming up this week, we're exploring some amazing ecosystems here on The Travel Show. Hello and welcome to The Travel Show with me, Mike Corey, coming to you from my home in Eastern Canada. Because let's face it, our epic adventures and elaborate vacations have been put on hold, at least for right now. So what better opportunity to dip our toe back into the archives? Listen, it's no secret that our collective globetrotting has had an impact on our world for several years now, something we always think about here on The Travel Show. So the plan today is to look at some of our favorite episodes that have tried to shine a light on the issue. First up, a personal highlight of mine on the Californian coast, when I went to the stretch known as Big Sur to understand more about the effects of climate change from the top of the world's tallest trees. For over a millennium, redwood trees have become an icon of this state.
So these are coast redwoods. They are the tallest tree species in the world, reaching currently about 380 feet tall is the tallest ones. They're really important ecologically. They support the habitat and provide habitat for a lot of plants and animals. So as the climate changes, temperatures are increasing, it's drying things out as temperatures get warmer. And that's a big consideration for these particular trees because they need so much water that's affecting their water balance and their ability to transport more water to the tops of the trees.
But now, it's time to get to work.
There we go.
So first, we need a sample of the tree's core.
This is the halfway mark there. And then when we get to the ground, we'll be able to pull that spoon out with the core on it.
Earlier on, Anthony showed me some of those secrets this tree had already revealed. And so, wow, these are the rings here?
Yeah. So each one of those is an annual ring, 1 year's worth of growth you can see here. You know, there could be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 maybe years here.
Wow, so this section up here hasn't seen sunlight for 600, 700 years.
Yeah.
This redwood stands at over 70 meters tall. Climbing redwoods is forbidden in most places, but in this reserve, we have special permission, and what a privilege it is.
Okay, 40 meters. I can't get over how beautiful this tree is. We have gotten up to the canopy, so there is burn marks on this tree at 40 meters, which boggles my mind. It's incredible up here.
Anthony told me that wildfires are another threat these trees are increasingly facing in the modern world.
Bird's nest. I don't think there's anybody home though.
With Anthony already at the top collecting samples, I make my final push upwards.
This view is definitely one of the wildest, most incredible views I've seen in my entire life. I can't believe we're 71 meters off the ground right now. This is 700 years old, which is before the colonization of America, before Taj Mahal, before Machu Picchu. It makes me feel like a speck of sand in a sandbox, like insignificant.
Yeah, it's a pretty humbling experience, isn't it? If the climate change conditions dry things out sufficiently, then they might start to feel some impacts. They might not grow as well, they might not get as tall, they might in the future even start to die back, and that's what we're trying to figure out.
Do I feel the tree shaking a little bit?
Yep, it's waving.
Okay, just a normal thing, I'm assuming. One thing's for sure, I will never forget the view from the tops of those trees. Next up, we're off to the French Alps for a murkier but no less fascinating view of our changing planet from the very bottom of a glacial lake. Lucy heads to France for a swim in some pretty shocking conditions.
Across the world, global warming is shortening the ski season and starting to seriously affect the economy for lower resorts. The charity, Protect Our Winters, has been collecting data from climate scientists around the world, all with similar predictions. By 2050, the Alps could see a reduction in snow by more than 40%.
I've noticed a massive difference, especially in the last 25 years that we've been doing it, of the glaciers retreating, the glaciers getting smaller. In the winters, our winter season's getting shorter. You know, they used to start in November very comfortably, and now sometimes we're lucky if they start in December. On the left ski. The other thing that's quite scary right now is because of these extreme changes in the temperatures that we're seeing, and what this does to the snowpack, it really weakens the way that the snow bonds together, and we've seen a big rise in the amount of avalanches.
Here in Tignes, the resort has been making plans to ensure its future. And one ambitious project is to open an indoor ski dome by the Grande Motte Glacier. These artist impressions show what it will look like in the winter and also in the summer to guarantee year-round skiing no matter the weather.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, I'm giving my ski legs a rest
Nice to meet you, Lucy. I'm Dan.
to try something a little bit different.
Okay.
Yes, that is a mask and regulator.
We're going to start by this little briefing.
I've been persuaded into ice diving.
I know they said I'm not going to feel the cold, but I'm really nervous about my body going into some kind of shock once I get in the water. I'm sure it'll be fine, but my mind is currently in overdrive. I just want to get in now.
You're in? Perfect.
Dan will be staying above the ice, helping me and another instructor go under. It's not an activity you can do as a group, rather one person at a time with an instructor for safety reasons.
Okay. And we rotate into the water now.
My initial worries of freezing to death quickly went away.
Perfect. Bye-bye.
But it didn't quite go to plan, and I had to surface.
So my mask started to fill with water, and I started to panic. So I was like, out!
After a little reminder about what to do, namely don't panic, I was mentally prepped for another go.
Okay.
This time my mask stayed put, but we decided not to stray too far from the ice hole and my confidence returned. It's an otherworldly experience under the ice, cut off from the noise and distractions above. And it's surprisingly relaxing. Only towards the end did my toes and fingers start to tingle a little, but otherwise the dry suit really did keep the cold out. For the really daring, it's possible to also free dive. Probably not for me though. I much prefer having the oxygen tank.
And that was Lucy in Tignes. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I'm feeling a bit chilly after that last piece, so let's warm up and also go back in time to 2016 when we sent Henry Golding to Cambodia to join a special patrol that takes on poachers preying on the local wildlife deep in the jungle.
That is shocking, to say the least. Have a look at how many chainsaws they've actually commandeered from these illegal loggers. How many would you say there are, Eddie?
It's over 500 also, yeah. But this piece of timber, which you see it here, look, this is the rosewood, the famous rosewood, which is the more expensive.
Okay.
In China, it's cost $20,000 per cubic
$20,000?
meters, yes.
And these
Table chairs.
These would just be looped around a tree,
Yes.
waiting
yes,
for something to come
yes,
along.
Yes.
Put
And
a
of
foot
course,
in there,
Yes.
and then
Get in.
tighten.
Yes.
So, time for me to take on the criminals. Kind of.
All right, let's go. for a little bit of a water break. In the distance, there were two guys on a motorbike who literally just leapt on their bike and ran off. And luckily, one of the guys actually saw that, started chasing. And what's happened is they've dropped whatever they were carrying, and this was it, rosewood.
Rosewood, yes.
The perpetrators are too quick to get away this time. It's clearly a tough job for these rangers. Just making our way through the forest is hard enough.
This ride is getting bumpier and bumpier. It's almost like trying to stay on a fucking bronco. Whoa!
This deforestation is destroying animals' habitats. Now, that's not the only man-made dangers they face here. The remains of snares can be found all around.
It's a strong piece of stick, okay?
Yep.
Planted on the ground. So when he's coming, he's getting this piece of fruit, whatever it is, and he's getting caught in.
Right, so there's a bit missing here.
Yes, it's missing a piece of fruit, and I believe something else is missing.
So a lot of these traps are designed to maim rather than kill, so they can collect them alive.
Yes.
Having seen the indiscriminate damage that snares like these do to even much larger animals than their intended targets, it's quite shocking to see one up close. But witnessing it myself, I also come face to face with the brutal impact this can have.
Henry taking on poachers in the Cambodian jungle. Well, make sure to stick with us, because coming up next, we have more great memories of our favorite eco trips, including how to stop your animal selfies putting wildlife in danger, and when I reach the endpoint of one of the planet's most stunning animal migrations. Up next, the banks of the Dead Sea. This vast salty lake is one of the Middle East's top tourist attractions, but it's one that's slowly disappearing, leaving behind a scarred landscape, which we sent Joe Worley to explore.
This is the lowest point on Earth, and people come here from all over the world to experience the surreal sensation of floating about in the hyper-salty waters. But in recent years, the Dead Sea has been shrinking back at a rate of more than a metre a year. The phenomenon's been caused by a sharp decrease in the amount of water flowing into it, as the countries along the River Jordan, the Dead Sea's main source, harness its flow for industry and farming. 30 years ago, the Dead Sea came all the way up here, right to these beach umbrellas. But now the sea's receded so much that tourists have to be bussed by tractor to the water's edge. It's a distance of more than a mile. As the waters recede, huge underground salt deposits are left behind, and when the salt dissolves, the ground above it can collapse without warning, causing sinkholes. Yariv has seen the impact firsthand. 2 years ago, this road, which was one of the country's major highways, was closed and rerouted after the surface started to sink. Everything's just collapsing into this hole.
Yeah. And this is one of the, and this is relatively small, or not, let's say not so big.
That's a small one.
Not so big, yeah. It's not a big one, yeah.
How many sinkholes are there now?
Around more than 6,000. 6,500, let's say, around 6,500. The beginning of it was the late 80s. It was a phenomenon, nice one, interesting, very interesting phenomenon, but it escalated very much and very fast.
This tourist resort used to be one of the Dead Sea's few public beaches. 2 years ago, it had to be evacuated when the ground became too unstable. Wow. The whole building's just had to be abandoned.
Yeah, in a short, very short notice, we have to just take everything, pack our bags, stuff, equipment.
There is a plan to reverse the fortunes of the Dead Sea by pumping water into it from the Red Sea over 100 miles away. But that could take many years, and no one knows for sure if it will work. In the meantime, the people here are determined to rebuild, using satellite mapping to assess where new holes might open up. Ellie has started taking groups out to safely view the sinkholes. He wants something positive to come out of the problem.
First of all, to raise the awareness of people to the Dead Sea crisis. And then we have also the other side, the bright side of the problem. And people are amazed by the scenery. It is beautiful.
The idea is for people to be able to see the geological wonders that have appeared as the Dead Sea has receded. Wow. It's such a lot to take in because it's this devastation, but it's also quite beautiful, isn't it? It is beautiful.
Always it's better to look at the bright side of the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the eerie beauty of this place that is hoped can be used to attract more tourists to the area and repair some of the economic damage that's been caused by the sinkholes. If you're planning a trip to the Dead Sea, you don't need to worry about a sinkhole opening up under the beach. The affected areas are clearly signposted and shouldn't be entered without guidance from an expert.
Now to finish our look back at some of our favorite eco trips, here are the lengths that some people will go to protect their native wildlife. First, when Carmen visited the charity that's urging people to think twice before taking a selfie with an animal.
I'm heading to the Wildlife Friends Foundation, 3 hours drive south of Thailand's capital, Bangkok, to find out what's being done to help animals that have been used in the tourist industry.
So how big a problem are these animal selfie pictures?
It's huge. Example here we have a gibbon being used as a photo prop animal. It's very, very common to see a baby gibbon or a slow loris being carted around by a guy, and people will pay maybe 100 or 200 baht to have that 1 second selfie. A lot of these animals are just beaten into submission. So this animal here you can't see unless I zoom, but look, he's on a very, very short chain.
Infant animals are particularly vulnerable to the photo prop trade. Here in the Wildlife Hospital, babies that have been rescued or abandoned are cared for in the nursery.
Can you tell me a bit about langurs? Why are they so popular in the photo crop industry?
Because then when they was born, their fur is completely full of orange and with like pinky face. They are so cute. They are quite popular to be appealing people to want to take a photo.
Removing a young animal from its parents impacts their behavior for life. Maggie was found abandoned near the rescue centre. Chico grew up in the photo prop industry and was then kept as a pet. He was given to the team here when he became too big to handle.
We have carers, Sean and Tua, who bring Maggie and Chico into the forest every day, and we encourage them to climb in the trees, usually by throwing fruits into the trees, wrapped in vines or something like that. We were hoping that he would copy Maggie, who is more wild. Chico is a little bit more fond of humans. He's coming to say hello now.
Okay.
Hey, Chico.
Should I be worried?
It's okay, just
Hi,
stay
Chico.
just stay calm.
Oh.
Just stay calm.
Hello. Okay. Yes. Oh, Chico's holding my hands. Yes. Hello, Chico. Oh, hi.
So he does have an unnatural attachment to humans. He would have been poached from the wild as a very young infant. He's been with humans most of his life. We're trying to erase that to a certain extent, but the stark reality of a photo prop animal, it's not all fun and games like we just saw then. Yes, he was having fun with you, but if he was to do that to a tourist, he would get beaten with a stick, and that's how they can control these animals. What people should do when they see things like this is safely try and take video footage or photographs. It then needs to be reported to the relevant authorities and ourselves here at WFFT, because we can also inform the Department of National Parks and the authorities to act.
Here at the foundation, tourists are encouraged to roll up their sleeves, get dirty, and help care for the rescued animals. And that's far more rewarding than taking a selfie to share with your friends.
And finally, when I met a couple who have dedicated their lives to raising awareness of one of the world's most spectacular migrations.
You wouldn't know what to look at, but these hills are just a couple hours drive from Mexico City, one of the world's biggest urban conurbations. This is the transatlantic volcanic belt, but it's not the volcanoes we've come to see.
Every winter, millions of butterflies fly for around 2 months from Canada and the US to a few patches of high-altitude forest here in Mexico.
In recent years, the populations have dwindled thanks to the destruction of habitats in the US and Canada and deforestation here in Mexico. One study says the numbers have gone down by 84% in the last 20 years. The fear is this: one more bad winter and the entire colony could be gone. There is just one B&B run by Joel and his American wife Ellen, which they set up in an effort to make day trippers stay here for a bit longer.
But once you pick them, it takes like 8 minutes.
And why do you guys love the butterflies? Why are you here doing what you're doing?
Well, you know, like, that's how I met
That's
Ellen.
how we met.
That's how we met.
When we met, there was nothing here. People came on day trips. People came from far away. They paid outside operators to come here, and none of the money stayed in the community. So really what we've been trying to do with starting our business is have more people come, stay here, stay in the community, stay longer.
And the numbers are much lower than they used to be in the area with the butterflies?
I mean, it's actually gotten better. The numbers have gotten slightly better in the last 4 seasons, but it's still, dramatically lower than what it was.
Than it used to be.
Yeah.
While numbers are still critically low, the signs from this year and the last is that the worrying decline appears to be stabilizing.
Well, that's all for this week. And if you need reminding what our beautiful world looked like when we're actually able to go see it, check out our social media channels. We're all here hoping we can travel again soon. Until then, stay safe, keep planning those future trips, and I'll see you soon.